Hey y'all, I wanted to shoot a quick video to talk through the informative speech preparation outline grades. Some of you are probably pretty psyched about how you did, and I'm guessing there's a fair number of you who are not too thrilled. But I wanted to talk through that so that you can see where you might have went wrong and also how you'll be able to improve for the persuasive speech. So I'm about to turn the camera around and put it on the desktop, and I'll kind of walk you through how to understand your grade, where to find information, and that kind of stuff. So hang tight here for a second. Okay, so I'm back, and here we are looking at our course through the student view. You can see the pinkish color indicates that we're looking at this as if you were a student. And in this mode, I'm called test student. All right, so you know that your informative speech has been graded, so click grades and then scroll down to informative speech preparation outline. I can see my score 47.3. If I want, I can look at the rubric from here, and it shows the points, but it doesn't show the box highlighted. So what you should do instead is click the name of the assignment, click that link, and then click show rubric. And now you can see the explanation for the grades you got. So for example, oftentimes people get a 2 for identifying information because the 4 pieces of information are in the right order, but they are not single spaced. So you can go through and see, typically when people get a 2 for formatting, it's often because they didn't bold the verbal citations. And you can go through and see, basically I'm giving you feedback for every element of the speech. Okay, so a couple of things. If you did a how-to speech, or if you did a speech that was persuasive, I clicked one of these two boxes. So for example, the test student did a how-to speech. And you can see when I click that box, it gives you zero point 0.1 points, but then it says you did a how-to speech equals minus 15. So if we look right here, my total points for the speech are 62.3, but when you subtract 15, my grade is a 47.3. So the rubric shows you how I evaluated every piece of the speech as I taught you to do it. Okay, so now you might be wondering, where did all this stuff come from? So if you got a low grade, especially if you didn't get a deduction for the persuasive or how-to problems, you're going to want to follow this closely. All right, so let's scroll down to the start of the section on informative speaking. Okay, so the first thing we did was we studied the Speak to Inform chapter and then gathering your materials. So one thing I talked about here, this is a narrated PowerPoint lecture where I talk you through doing your research and finding a bunch of information and then how to kind of narrow your topic as you start learning more about it. One real problem is if you didn't submit a speech topic for approval, or if you did and I told you the topic wouldn't work and you didn't respond, then we had problems. Or if you changed your speech topic. So for the persuasive assignment, it's really important you do the speech topic submission, not because of the 5 points, but just to make sure you're doing what I'm assigning you to do for that speech. Okay, so there's a chapter on supporting your ideas, and I talk you through selecting your main points. Okay, now here's where it starts getting important. And I'm guessing that if you got, low 50s or lower, you maybe missed some of these lectures. So first of all, here's a lecture that explains to you exactly how to write the main points of the speech. There's a fairly strenuous, or not strenuous, but a fairly strict format I want you to follow to demonstrate that you can write main points the way you're supposed to write them. And this includes how to start each main point, how to put the information into the main point to support it, how to verbally cite, how to transition. So if you haven't watched this lecture yet, you need to do that before the persuasive speech. Scroll down, I do a narrated PowerPoint lecture on how to write the introduction and the conclusion, and I actually tell you some things that the book says to do that you should not do. So if you didn't watch this video, you definitely should. The intros and conclusions for the speeches in this class are very short. So some of you wrote intros that were longer than any main point in your speech, and that's not what I'm teaching you to do. So if you haven't already done so, you should watch this lecture. Okay, and then finally, there's a narrated PowerPoint lecture about outlining the speech, and I've even included an example preparation outline. So for the informative speech, your outline needed to look as close to this as possible, and the same thing is true for the persuasive speech. Obviously, they're two different topics, they're two different types of speeches. You're going to have a different number of main points probably, but the format should follow this example. So if you haven't looked at this example, you should. So let's open it up. Okay, if you want to view it in the browser, just click the little magnifying glass. And you can see pretty much all the formatting requirements I've given you are demonstrated in this example. Your name, my name, course name, date, all single spaced. There is one line space between the bottom of the identifying information and the heading introduction. You can see that each piece of the introduction is outlined and labeled. And if you just scroll down, you can see verbal citations are bolded and transitions are indicated. So if your outline didn't look like this, you're already having trouble. So you don't have to have the same number of main points. You don't have to have all your verbal cites at the start of each subpoint. But in terms of just making it look right, this is what it should look like. Okay, so that's it. So moving forward, if we go down to the persuasive speech, you've got a speech topic approval due April 10th. And if you look at that, you'll see there are some fairly strict requirements. First, it says that you should not submit a topic until you've studied the narrated PowerPoint for Chapter 16. And that you should submit a single sentence. For example, I want to persuade my audience that CSN should ban smoking on campus. And you can see I'm going to give you feedback. If you do everything right, I'm going to give you a 5. If it looks like you didn't review the assignment instructions, I'm going to click that. If you do a fact speech and not a policy speech, if you do a value speech, I'll click it. So I'll indicate to you what the problem is, and then you can maybe go back and rewatch the lecture video. This is a challenging assignment that a lot of students struggle with, so I'll be grading topic submissions as fast as I can. You should check back often to make sure you got the feedback I've given you, and hopefully everybody will be able to improve from the informative speech to the persuasive speech. As always, if you have questions, ask questions in the Common Course questions section, and I will answer them as soon as I can. Signing off from here in Atlanta, where it's raining and storming like crazy, and hopefully y'all are enjoying some good weather in Las Vegas, and I will be talking to you again soon.